Hi, my name is Geert Van Gele and I would like to discuss analyzing a composition. This video is part of a series that accompany the iBook Thoughts on the Recorder, which is available through my webshop kettenburgrecordings.be. You can find a link in the description. I've also included a clickable link at the end of this video if you want to learn more about it. Musical intuition is a great tool and should be cherished and coaxed into further maturity at all times. At the same time, musical intuition should always be coupled to a deep understanding of the composition at hand through analysis of the text. If one is aware of the true meaning of the text, the performer will have it much easier to deliver it in a meaningful and soulful way. In other words, there will be more mental space for musical intuition. Now, do you find this sound logical? How about this? If you don't know what you are talking about, what are you telling your audience? In order to explain how to go about analysis, I take a generic Baroque solo sonata as an example, consisting of a solo part and a bass part. To start with analysis, it's always a good idea to work from bigger sections towards the smallest. The sentences are the biggest building blocks, followed by half sentences, which consist of arsis and thesis. Sequences of motives will go up or down. Repeats of the motives are also a big part of it, and motives by themselves. Further on, it's a good idea to determine where modulations occur. To go into further details, one can find places where dissonances are between the parts. In order to find the smaller details in the music, you can find out where the melody and the bass is doing something special. Let me give you a hint for this. Whenever a line is not simply ascending or descending with a couple of simple steps, something special is going on, which means pretty much always will the music give you clues to what you can do. Now start off by only finding the bigger sentences in the beginning and slowly work your way towards finding the smaller motives. Bit by bit, you will find more details. When you do this, keep the following tips in mind. Whenever you work on analysis, it is important to work from the score. Sit down at a table, or better yet, at a keyboard. Always make sure to ignore the right hand of the keyboard in the score, since this is the publisher's idea of how the basso continuo should sound. Simply play the solo part and the bass part together, and you have a complete idea of the occurring harmonies. If you have limited keyboard skills, you can play the bass part on the piano and sing the top part with it. If you have no keyboard skills whatsoever, or you are not familiar with reading the bass clef, you can start by analyzing the top part only. Even in this case, look at the bass line while you play and imagine the rhythm of the bass. The rhythm by itself holds a lot of clues to how the bass relates to the top part. Whenever the bass line changes its rhythm, some kind of contrast in the sounding character should be the result. The same counts for changing in the bass melody. Leaps, a different register. Alternately, you may want to consider programming an easy app on your phone or tablet or PC with which you can play the bassline. In the description of this video I will post a couple of apps that can do this easily. Always cross-reference the solo part to what is happening in the bass. This will give you clues to further understanding the piece, since the bass is the foundation upon which all Baroque music has been built. In order to have a complete overview of what's going on in the music, ideally you should be able to understand what the meaning is of each segment of your text. A good practice is to determine for yourself what kind of character you want to give to a specific sentence. Don't shy away from writing down this character on the score at the beginning of every sentence. It'll spark your inspiration while performing. Use as detailed description as possible. For instance, you could use words as playful, enthralled, forgiving, decisive, meandering, hurt, despair, doubting, smiling, amused, thinking, and the list can go on and on. The more imaginative your description, the better. I normally come up with a complete story for every piece I play. This storyline will continue over the different movements of a sonata. Once decided on the storyline, I start to think of more and more details about the story. Who are the characters? What setting is this in? How does the room look like? Anything that can help me to get more into the character of the text and the actors, or the actor, will help me to perform more convincingly. Think opera. When actually performing, I put myself in the frame of mind of the actor or actors who read the text in an engaged way, feeling all the different emotions listed up in my score. What you don't want to do is reading your text as a newscaster, reading your text emotionless. The other thing you need to be aware of is that as an interpreter, you need to feel every emotion you want to convey. Carl Philipp Emanuel Bach states in his Versuch über die wahre Art der Klavier zu spielen that the only way a listener can feel an emotion is when the performer is feeling an emotion in the first place. So realizing which emotion is in the text is not enough. You need to feel the emotion that is captured in the character you wrote down in your score. That's it for now. In my book, I talk in much more detail about the subject of interpreting. If you follow the link, you can watch the next video on the general interpretation of fast movements. Thanks for watching. See you next time.